Happy Thursday. I found out about Whip It Up Wednesday yesterday, and unfortunately I already had my meals, but thanks to inspiration by Heather at the Kneady Homesteader, Mandy at More to Life, Tina at Wilhelm's Pantry, and Lisa at Sutton's Days, I decided I wanted to participate too. Especially since I seem to have an obsession with slow cookers, especially crock-pots. Though I'm using a slow cooker today because I only wanted a small batch. I've been planning on making this chicken dish for quite some time, but this is the perfect time. And yes, I know it's not Wednesday, but pretend, okay? Use your imagination. I'm making a slow cooker chicken and mushroom gravy dish, and I should probably get my chicken. Duh. And I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I'm not a big fan of chicken thighs, but when they're on sale, I try to take advantage of them. I prefer to get them with the skin on and with bone in, so I can use them for stock, but these will work just fine. You can also use breasts, you can use legs, and you can even use whole chickens. The recipe calls for fresh mushrooms, onions, etc., etc. I'm taking advantage of my dehydrating pantry. I'm using a combination of button mushrooms and cremini mushrooms, which I dehydrated. In here we have paprika, what else? Oh, minced onion instead of a whole onion, thyme, and I guess that's it that's in here. And later, I'll also be adding, when there's about an hour left, I'll be adding chives, dehydrated scallions, and some ripe olives. Small ripe olives, which I'll roughly slice. The base of the soup is chicken stock. You can use commercial chicken stock, you can use powdered chicken stock, you can use Better Than Bouillon, which is one of my favorites. This happens to be reconstituted dry bouillon that I made. I took my chicken stock and cooked it until it was fairly thick and then dehydrated it. And here we have 2 cups rehydrated. Now, to begin, oh, there's also pepper in here. I haven't added salt. I may do that later. I'm not a big salt fan. Okay, so this is, one of the best things about crock-pot cooking, it's put it in, dump it and forget it. Okay, so I'm just putting the thighs in. I think there are 4 in this package. Yes. This is, by the way, a 2-quart slow cooker. And it works great for, when I don't want a lot of meat, don't want to have to deal with a lot of leftovers. It's also really, really good for making fruit butters. I make my apple butters and my pumpkin butter in here. And it works really well because you can just dump it in and then forget it. Next, I'll put in my mushroom mixture into the pot. Just throw it all on top. Then the spice and herb mix. And now the original recipe called for 1.5 cups of stock. I'm using a little over 2 cups at this point because I'm using a lot of dehydrated veggies. I'll check it along the way to see if it needs more stock. And I do have Better Than Bouillon and other stock. But it already looks kind of good. Now, if you want, you can add Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of soy sauce, that kind of thing. I'm leaving all of that out. I may add it later when I add the olives, chives, and scallions. By the way, thank you, Heather of the Kneady Homemaker, for showing us about dehydrating scallions. I have my Frankenscallions, which if you follow my blog, I will have posted about them. But I never really know how to use them before they go bad. So I am now dehydrating scallions. Thank you so much. Oh, one other thing you'll need is cornstarch or some other kind of thickener. Oops, sorry about that. I'm still new with this, you know. And I don't have a lot of room here on the counter. Some recipes call for flour. I prefer cornstarch because I don't want a real milky gravy. Though I may add a little milk, I'm going to play with it, you know. That's what the fun of cooking is. You can play with things. But I'm not looking for that thick gravy. I'm going to be serving it over cauli rice instead of potatoes. So you could certainly do it over potatoes. Okay, put the lid on. Now I'm going to set mine on high. Oops, that's warm. For now, depending on how quickly it goes. I never really get a feel for how fast things go in this. But, you know, for a small slow cooker, it does hold a lot. And it's quickly become my favorite. But don't tell Dot that. She thinks she is. So I'll come back when it's time to add the chives. Or when it's done, or when I add the olives, chives. And we give a final taste. And I thicken it with the cornstarch. Bye.